Multiple observer missions, opposition political heads have questioned the independence of the EC. Do these concerns at some point get to you? Do they raise fears inside of you to say, look, maybe in the next election I need to do better as chair of this commission?
Certainly, Canada, we have had so many concerns, views, insinuations, conclusions that the Electoral Commission is not independent. But you see, if you dissect that statement, you'll find it is short. It is abundant in assertion, but it's short on specifics. What are the specific instances that inform the notion or the narrative that the Electoral Commission is not independent? And we have told them, point out those aspects. What are they? Because in our view, the starting point of our independence is the law, the Constitution, and all these other electoral laws. That's what defines our independence. Secondly, any person who participates in the electoral process must act in line with the law. We do not treat anyone favorably to the prejudice of the other. If it is a question of requiring you, the candidate or the aspirant, to present the criteria or what is the requirements for your candidature, everybody is treated equally. If it is a question of the campaign guidelines, everybody is given the same guidelines.
It is a question of silence of the Electoral Commission amidst these controversies. Yeah. Opposition political players being treated unfairly by the security, and Electoral Commission becomes silent. The opposition political players have consistently asked for the transparency in terms of the DR forms being published, so they can be able to compare with what they could have gathered during the elections. That has not been done, but also to protect genuine institutional independence of the commission.
First of all,
these have been raised to you before.
Yes, true, Canary. On the issue of the complaints or concerns that were being raised by some candidates, particularly presidential candidates, in the last elections, we had what I would call joint interface with the Electoral Commission, between the Electoral Commission, the agents of presidential candidates, and members of the Uganda Police Force on regular intervals. I think we held about 3 or 4 meetings altogether. And the whole purpose was to review the progress of the campaigns, any emerging issues, and so on and so forth. And indeed, a number of issues were brought to the attention of the Uganda Police Force as far as the handling of candidates was concerned. And the Uganda Police Force would respond on these roundtables and would come to some resolutions and say, please, going forward, let us all conduct ourselves in this manner. You, the candidates, can you be compliant to the guidelines and the law? If the guidelines have said that when you're proceeding to your campaign venue, avoid holding processions along public roads, because the public roads are not the preserve of the candidates alone. They are the other members or the other people who are not part of this electoral process have a right to use these roads. But you find candidates defying that. The other issue was that you, the members of the police force, please act within the confines of the law when you are trying to address some of these challenges that do emerge. But the point is, we were responsive to the concerns that were being raised by these by the various candidates or people. Now, the other issue of which I want to respond, yes, the DR forms. I've heard this chorus of hullabaloo about the EC's failure to disclose DR forms. I don't know where this is coming from. If you look at the law with regard to the handling of DR forms, the law says that at the counting of votes or ballots at the polling station, the presiding officer shall fill the outcomes of this process at that polling station in the DR form. The agents per candidate, if the candidate had agents at that polling station, shall sign this form as a confirmation this is what has transpired and come out of this polling station. Then after that, the presiding officer shall give a copy of the DR form to the agents of the candidate. Did the Electoral Commission do that? Yes, we did that. We complied with that requirement with the law. Then the other copy or copies of the DR forms shall be transmitted to the tally center for the returning officer to open the tamper-proof envelope, pull out that form, and then read out the results to the people who have gathered tally center.
Yeah, and the concerns were that the results being read on the other side do not match those that were signed at the polling station.
Canary.
Why not address issues in real time?
If anyone had that assertion, they had the right to go to the courts of law and present their DR forms and say, court, here are the DR forms. What was read out at the district tally center or at the national tally center does not conform tally with what were given. Here they are. People had the opportunity to go to court, and we were ready to go to court and say, but these are the documents. Now, there's been this chorus, as I said, hula balo, that Biabakama, where are the DR forms? Biabakama. Now, secondly, the law says that the Electoral Commission shall, okay, the Electoral Commission shall publish, ascertain, publish, and declare the results of the polling process. Did we do that? Yes, we did. We did that for the presidential elections at Louvoa. We did that. Now, there is no law, let me say this, there is no provision in the law that says the Electoral Commission shall publish the DR forms in a form. No. You say we shall ascertain, declare, and publish the results.
As much as there is no law that mandates you to publish these DR forms, you know that now public confidence in the electoral process remains deeply fractured. For purposes of transparency, by what just happened
but we are transparent
in the elections. But for purposes of transparency, why not go ahead and publish them anyway?
No,
if what you have is exactly
even
the truth.
what they are, in fact, let me say this. You cannot begin to introduce something in your processes which the law does not require you to do. The law requires us to publish the results, which we did. We did that, Canary.
If you're not breaking any law by publishing the DR forms, where is the problem?
No, if the law does not require, you can only say, but Electoral Commission, can you please? But some of people think it is it is a command. You must publish the DR. You must give us the DR. Some of them have even insulted me and abused me.
Have you received personal threats in your life?
They come every day, but those are scarecrows. You see me showing any sign of being scared? Not at all.
Okay.
There are so many insults, so many abuses, and so on and so, threats and so on, that you see, I have told them, there's one of them whom I actually even engaged. I said, but instead of insulting me, why don't you come and you air your grievance to me? You want to arrest me? I said, no, I can give you my personal word. You'll not be arrested. Because at times, you know what happens? Some of these people are misinformed. They talk out of, I'm sorry to say, lack of appreciation of the processes that are ingrained in the law. And for us, we are saying as EC, yes, people have said, but in the last elections, you published the results on your website. Why don't you do that again? We are going to do that. Mind you, the law says that
6 months later.
Yes.
6 months later.
Actually, Canada, the law says that the Electoral Commission shall publish the report of the general elections within 6 months. We are still within 6 months because the last round of general elections occurred in February, around 6th Feb. The 6 months are set to elapse, I think, around August. We are still within time.
Okay.
So
but even then, the report will be tabled in Parliament.
Yes.
I don't know who's going to hold you accountable, but before we conclude this conversation, this election just concluded. Yes. Is this an election you want to put your name on? Is this an election where an opposition candidate campaigns in a bulletproof vest and now he's in exile 6 months later after the election?
You know, there was a candidate in 2021 who campaigned Mugurupa without shoes. That was his choice. It was his choice. There are those who campaign.
It was not his choice.
It was his choice.
I was on Entebbe Road covering that particular nomination.
Yes.
when Patrick Amuriato Boy left the FDC offices to go for nomination.
Yes.
And I